Hi guys, I'm Charlie, your Charlie Book Fanatic. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about my favorite characters of 2016. The first character I want to mention is Reason from A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas. I specifically mentioned the second book because Reason is a main character and a large part of the second book, and not really in the first book, but I loved Reasons. I disliked Tamlin, who is the love interest of Feyre in the first book, a lot. But when we got to know Reasons, who is also Feyre's love interest, but in the second book, I fell in love with him. Like, he was everything Tamlin is not. He let Feyre be who she wants to be. He gave her freedom, and that is what Tamlin never did for her. I am a huge fan of Reasons because I feel like he is so respectful towards women and does everything to protect what he loves. The second character is Catherine Morland from Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. Catherine is one of my favourite characters because I feel she is so relatable for me. I can really see myself in her. She's kind of innocent and naive, and she is crushing on this guy, but she's trying to run into him everywhere. Like, she's really looking out for him wherever she goes, and I feel like I'm like that when I'm crushing on a guy. I really just go out there and try to run into him accidentally, and I felt like she was really relatable. I don't want to say I'm naive or innocent because I'm not, but I did think she had some relatable aspects for basically every girl out there. The next character is probably one of my favorites on this entire list, and that is Katie from Illuminae by Amie, Kaufman and Kristoff. Katie is mentioned and sort of appears in the second book, but she is the main character in the first book, and I love her. She's so badass, and just the magic of this book and how she fought that kind of zombie invasion in this book really made her stand out to me, and her dynamics with Aiden, who is an artificial intelligence. She's everything Hannah Donnelly, who's the main character of the second book, is not. Like, I really wanted Hannah to be another Katie, but she was badass, but she didn't turn out to be the girl I wanted her to be, and Katie was just everything. Maybe because she appeared in the first book, but I just thought she was an incredible character. Like, she is independent, she's badass, she can do literally everything, and she is also a hacker, so that was really cool to read about. The next character I want to mention is from the same series but only appears in the second book, Gemina, and there's actually a villain in here, Cerberus. He is the captain of this entire villain team that appears in this, and we don't get to know a lot about him, only that he's a very cruel human being, but I love to see his interactions with his team, and I just thought he was such a good villain. Like, we got to see a lot of the villains in this book, and I loved all of them, and the diversity in their ethnicities and their personalities and how they were portrayed, and I especially liked Cerberus. I also really liked Callie, which is a person from Cerberus' team, but she wasn't one of my favourite characters of the entire year, I would say. I would say Cerberus is up there and Kelly is right underneath him, but he was an amazing villain. Then Adelina from the Young Elite trilogy. This is the Midnight Star, which is the third and final book in this series, and I have read this and I loved Adelina throughout this whole trilogy. The ending of this trilogy is perfect. The growth Adelina goes throughout the series is amazing. It's so good to see her from this innocent character go to this darkness that envelops her, and eventually her committing the ultimate sacrifice. And Adelina is what makes this whole series. I started reading The Raven Cycle, Maggie Stiefvater, this year, and I've only yet to read the fourth and final book. From the moment I read the first book, Ronan really caught my eye. And Ronan is one of the Raven boys, he's one of their group, and I don't know what it is about him. I think he's kind of standoffish and just playing rude, but he's trying to protect himself, and I love that about him. I think that is what really attracted me to him in the first place. And also there's another aspect that I can't mention because it's spoilery, but I was kind of spoiled for this from Tumblr. But I really love that aspect about him as well. I don't think I particularly like who this aspect is with, if you know what I mean. If you've read the series, you probably know what I mean. But I really do like Ronan as a character and his past and how we get to know him and how he slowly softens and opens up. And Hector from The Crown of Embers, which is the second book in the Fire and Thorns trilogy by Carson. Hector does appear in the first book, I believe, but he doesn't play a huge part. He only comes really into play in the second book in this series, and I loved him. I can't say who he really is particularly because that would, again, be quite a huge spoiler for the first book in this series. But I was a really huge fan of him as a character and how he tried to protect Elisa, the main character, and how he cared about her and everything he stood for. And my last favourite character of this entire year is Zenobia from Daughter of Sand and Stone by Libbie. This is a historical fiction novel, but it's about Zenobia, who has really existed, but not a lot is known about her. But I love getting to know her personality, her character, and how fierce she was. I think she's probably one of my favourite female characters of all time. And I love the ending of this book, even though it was quite heartbreaking and devastating to me. I think it was the perfect ending, sort of. I really like the not happy endings to stories, even though Zenobia deserved so much better. And she withstood a lot of hardships and tribulations, and how she eventually came out on top of all that, sort of, and her story ended the way it did. It was really sad, but it was such a journey to go through with her and see how she grew to become a leader and eventually even a queen. These are my favorite characters of 2016. Let me know down below if you agree or disagree with any of these, and let me know your favorite characters for 2016. I would love to know. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.